All right, so we are live streaming on YouTube. I've got 3 people in the waiting room. I will admit all of them at once.
Sounds good.
All right, good morning, folks. We've got one person still connecting. Okay, it looks like all 3 of you are now connected. Once we get started, I do want you to keep your audio on mute, but at the beginning here, why don't you all take your audio off mute so I can take attendance and see who is here. The first case we have, this is small claims docket set for non-jury trials today. And the first case we have up is Jerry's Plumbing versus Flatley, 20 SC 2552. And so I've got someone here listed as Jerry's Plumbing Services, Inc., 2 individuals. What are your 2 names, please?
My name is Gerardo Urgelis.
My name is Amber Alvarez. I'm the office manager.
Amber Alvarez. And Gerardo, what is your last name again, please?
Urgelis.
Can you spell it?
Urgelles.
Urgelis. Okay, thank you. All right, and you 2 are the plaintiff, Jerry's Plumbing. And I've got a Bob Calabrese. Sir, is that you?
That's me. Hello.
Hi, and 2 gentlemen, how are you 2 involved in this case?
I'm the plaintiff's ex-boyfriend, and Joe was the project manager.
You're the plaintiff's ex-boyfriend. The plaintiff is Jerry's Plumbing.
Oh, I'm sorry, the defendant. The defendant's ex-boyfriend.
Okay, does that mean you're here to testify for her or against her?
For her.
You're a witness for defense.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and how about the gentleman behind you?
He's a witness for the defense also.
All right.
And his name is, oh, go ahead, Joe.
My name is Joe Wilkinson. I was working with Terry Flatley as a project manager when we were doing the renovation.
You're a defense witness as well.
Correct.
Mr. Wilkinson, is that right? You're a defense witness?
Yes, I'm a defense witness.
All right, and then we have Ms. Flatley here as well. You're the defendant, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first question is to the Jerry's Plumbing folks. We've got Ms. Alvarez and Mr. Urgelis. You 2 are here representing Jerry's Plumbing. You're the plaintiff in this case. My first question to you is, are you ready to proceed with a trial?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Do you plan to call any witnesses other than the 2 of you?
No, the witness that we thought we had available, we can no longer, we're not in contact with him anymore.
So it's just you
So
two.
it's just the 2 of us.
All right, and Ms. Flatley, are you ready to proceed to trial?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
And you plan to testify on your own behalf, and then you've got these 2 gentlemen who are testifying for you as well, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I would like you to do now is put your audio on mute. All 3 of you can put your audio on mute, and I'm going to explain a few things. And the reason I want you on mute, you too, Ms. Flatley, put your audio on mute, is to prevent feedback, okay? And then when it's your turn to talk, you can take your audio off mute, and I'll tell you when to do that. But first, I want to take a few minutes to explain the risks that are associated with the trial process. Mr. Urgelis and Ms. Alvarez, you 2 represent the plaintiff, obviously, Jerry's Plumbing, and you 2 filed the lawsuit in this case, which means you 2 have the burden of proof. You have to bring forth sufficient evidence to prove up your allegations. If you fail to do that, then you lose the case. So you have the burden of proof. That's the risk you face when we go to trial. Now, Ms. Flatley, you're the defendant, which means you do not have a burden of proof. You don't have to prove anything. You could sit quietly. Your 2 witnesses do not have to testify, and you still may win the case. If the plaintiff fails to offer enough evidence to prove their allegations, you may still win. But there is a risk associated with the trial process from your perspective, Ms. Flatley. 2 risks, really. The first obvious one is that at the end of the trial, which will be in 20 or 30 minutes, I may enter a judgment entered against you, ordering you to pay them a certain amount of money. The other risk associated with the trial process is perhaps the greater risk would be the long-term consequence possibly on your credit. So there are risks associated with the trial process for both sides, and you need to be mindful of that when you answer my next question. Before we begin the trial, is there any reason or hope to resolve this by way of a settlement agreement between the two parties? In other words, without my involvement, is there any possibility that you two can agree to terms and resolve this on your own? Jerry's Plumbing, what do you say?
We've attempted multiple times, so.
I don't want to hear that. I just want a yes or a no.
No.
Because when people say things like that, it's casting blame, and I'm not looking for who's at fault in the failure.
Oh, no, we had mediation, Your Honor, and we didn't come to a resolution.
Yes or no?
Hold on. I know you had mediation. You wouldn't be here without the mediation. I know
Okay.
that. But I'm not looking to cast blame right now. I'm just asking, is there any
Sure.
use in negotiating with Ms. Flatley? You say
No.
sure? No, you say no. Okay, then you can put yourself back on mute. I don't even need to ask Ms. Flatley, right? Because a successful negotiation requires two parties. So we will begin the trial process. And let me just explain a few things. First of all, both sides have decided to come to court without a lawyer. And that's okay. You don't need a lawyer in small claims court. But because you don't have a lawyer, I need to explain a few things to you. First and foremost, please understand, I cannot act as your lawyer, right? If I give let me give you an example. If Jerry's Plumbing forgot to say one thing, and it's that one thing that I need to know, and I was to say, Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Urgelis, I really want you to tell me about this one thing, then Ms. Flatley, you probably wouldn't feel too good about that, because I might as well be in their living room on their camera with them acting as their lawyer. Ms. Flatley, you probably wouldn't appreciate that, because the judge is supposed to be fair and impartial, right? I'm not here to advise either party. I'm here to listen to the evidence and make a decision. And what that means to the plaintiff is I will not do that. If you forget to tell me something, then that's on you. You may lose the case. Remember, you have decided to come to court without a lawyer, and that's fine, but you do so at your own peril. You've got to remember to say everything I need to know in order to return a verdict in your favor. If you forget something, I will not help you fill in the blanks. Ms. Flatley, the same thing is true for you. What if there's one thing, an absolute ironclad defense, and all you have to do is say X, Y, and Z, and you forget to say X, Y, and Z? If I say, Ms. Flatley, I really want you to tell me about X, Y, and Z, Jerry's Plumbing folks probably wouldn't appreciate that. And so I won't do that either. I'm not going to help either side with the substance of your case. You both have decided to come to court without lawyers, and you face the consequences of that decision. I understand sometimes that's a financial decision. Attorneys are expensive. This is small claims court. You don't need a lawyer. I understand all that, but there may be adverse consequences to that decision, right? If you forget to say something in court. But I need everybody to agree to that in advance. You understand it's not my job to help you guys fill in the blanks. I can't do that, because above all else, I need to remain fair and impartial, and that's what I will do. Okay. Another point that's equally important, you all need to understand that nothing in the court file is evidence. Okay, what does that mean? That means anybody can walk into the courthouse and ask the clerk to file a document in a file. And the clerk won't review the evidence code, the Florida rules of evidence, the Florida law on the admissibility of documents, and determine whether that document is admissible. That's not the clerk's job. The clerk will simply take that document and put it in the case file. And so it's important for you to understand, you can't say something to me like, Judge, if you look in the court file, you'll see a contract, or you'll see this statement, or you'll see that statement. Nothing in the court file is evidence. That's what today is for. This is a trial. You enter evidence at the trial. That's today. Okay, so no, I cannot and I will not base my decision on anything that's already been filed with the clerk, because that's not evidence. Okay, so I can't help you with the substance. I can help you with procedure, and I will tell you what each step of the trial process is, and I'll give both sides every opportunity to present your cases within our time frame. You have been given 30 minutes, and we'll start that clock once I'm done talking and you begin your trial. I've got 5 trials this morning, so we will stay on schedule, which means each one of you needs to be mindful of that when you're testifying. Get to the point. So the first stage in the trial process is the plaintiff, Jerry's Plumbing. Mr. Urgelis and Ms. Alvarez, you two get to go first because you're the plaintiff. Okay, and so let's say that Ms. Alvarez, and this is totally up to you who goes first, but let's just say for my purposes of my explanation, let's say Ms. Alvarez, you go first. You will tell me everything you want to tell me. That's your testimony. okay? And then when you're done with your testimony and you say, Judge, I really don't have anything else to say, then Ms. Flatley gets a chance to ask you questions. That's called a cross-examination, if any. Don't feel compelled to ask questions on cross if you don't have any. You don't have to just make some stuff up just to hear yourself ask questions. So you don't have to do a cross-examination if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. So Ms. Alvarez, you would testify, and then when you're done, Ms. Flatley would have the chance to ask you questions on cross. Then Mr. Urgelis, you would testify if you choose to, and then that's your chance to tell me everything I need to know. Remember, don't leave anything out. And then when you're done, again, Ms. Flatley would have the chance to ask you questions. And then once Jerry's plumbing is done, you have presented all of your evidence, then it will be Ms. Flatley's opportunity to testify. Once she's done testifying, one of you, Ms. Alvarez or Mr. Urgelis, but not both, will have a chance to ask her questions on cross-examination. And then we may get to our two witnesses, Mr. Wilkinson and Mr. Calabrese. Okay, so what I need you to do first is all 5 of you, please take your audio off mute again. I'm going to swear you all in at the same time.
Okay.
I need, can you move your camera? Okay, I need you all to raise your right hand to take an oath. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Flatley, I didn't hear you.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. You can put your hands down. Okay, so Mr. Calabrese, please mute again. Ms. Flatley, you can do the same thing. Jerry's Plumbing, you're going to go first. Do you have any questions about the procedure?
No, sir.
So you understand you're now under oath, and this is your opportunity to tell me everything you think I need to know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On May 26th, Teresa's ex, who's present, Mr. Bob, he contacted Jerry directly. He was referred by one of our customers and said that he could really use our help in getting this project going along because they had recently just let go their contractor and it was kind of at a standstill. So they needed to get things rolling. So June 4th, he was in contact and the work was actually completed on June 6th. Okay, the first phase of the project. And after which, Jerry got really sick and he was in the hospital. He was having EEGs done and EKGs. And so we actually completed the first phase. We didn't leave any work undone in the first phase that we had started on.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
I may interrupt both of you, both
Sure.
sides, just to clarify some things. You've referred to Jerry a few times. Who's Jerry?
Jerry Ellis.
That's Geraldo.
Gerardo, correct.
Yes.
Gerardo, and you're referring to him by Jerry.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Gerardo.
Oh, you can, as long as I know, you can keep calling him Had
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
want to. I just want
This is Jerry, Jerry the plumber.
Okay. thank you.
So,
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
So he had completed the work as of June the 6th. And I have photos of the work that was completed. And June 7th, we were in contact with both of them. June 18th, she acknowledges that Jerry is sick. June 20th, I think we sent her a photo of him in the hospital. During this process, they had hired another general contractor who contacted me on August 8th. Now, between June 20th and August 8th, we had not heard from Teresa. Every time we heard from Teresa, we responded to Teresa. And by we, I'm mainly meaning Jerry, because I did not first even speak to Teresa since they didn't actually call the office and schedule the work. Bob contacted Jerry directly via cell phone. I didn't speak to her till the first time till August 6th. So August 6th, Teresa and I first made contact. And it was basically, me asking her for her email address so I could submit an invoice for the first phase of work that had already been completed so that we could move forward with the other phases of work. On August 8th is when her former contractor, her second former contractor, contacted me and was asking me all kinds of questions. I was honestly at the salon at the time getting my hair cut. And he's like, I feel like we're gonna get taken advantage of. I feel like she's trying to dodge being, paying us. And I'm like, I don't believe that. She was a good, referred by a good customer of ours. Bob has been great so far. Like, I don't sense any of that situation. And he just started rambling and telling me all these personal stories. And so I contacted Teresa, and I was like, listen, this guy seems like he's a little off the wall. And she says, I think that he might have some substance abuse issues. He has a couple existing suits out. People are suing him for not finishing work and things like that. We're just trying to get the ball rolling. If you could just, somehow go down to the county and pull a permit, because I guess they didn't have a permit in the beginning of the situation. So now the issue is permitting. They're being held up by the county for permitting. So I said, sure, no problem. I'll go, we'll pull our own permit so that we can continue the process. I went down to the county to add our information to the existing permit, but there was no existing permit. So I told Bob, hey, there's no existing permit. He said, okay, I'll let Teresa know. And that's when I offered to go pull our own permit. When I told them I was going to go pull our own permit, they said, no, that's going to hold up the process too much. She has children and they're all living in different homes, and she just really needs to get into this house. So she said, you're going to be contacted by our new contractor. Okay. The new contractor contacted me a little after August 8th. And he said, I'm going to go down. I'm going to switch all the information on the permit to my information from the old contractor with the substance abuse issues, I guess. And then once all that information is valid, I'm going to reach out to you and we'll update the sub information and we'll get the ball rolling. And that was the last I heard. I never heard from their contractor anymore. So then I reached out to her on September 3rd. I mean, that's been, quite a while. Hey, Terry, it's Amber from Jerry's Plumbing Service. Can you please give me a call when you have a chance? Just trying to touch base, see if maybe that contractor didn't work out or what the situation was. No answer. Then I contacted her the next day, September 4th. Hey there, me again. Your mailbox is full. Please reach out when you have a chance. This is what she responded with. Please understand, neither you or Jerry should contact us, and you are not welcome on the property. So I said, may I ask why? I said, I've done everything you asked. I've been waiting a month to hear back from your new GC who contacted me on August 8th and told me he would be in touch with me soon. Once again, communication is key, because we've had issues in the past where she just lashes out before we really can communicate properly. And Bob was always a good mediator, so we appreciated Bob. So this is what she responds with. You refused the new GC to use your company. I have nothing more to say. I am blocking your number now. I said, I did not. He said he was going to meet with the old GC, and once his name was on the new permit, he would reach out to get our info, and he never did. I last spoke to him on August 8th. Okay, mind you, this is September 4th. I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. The situation has been a nightmare from the beginning, and your explosive temperament and inability to communicate makes things worse. I won't contact you any further. The work that we completed and invoiced needs to be taken care of in a timely manner. Good luck and have a good day. So we had already invoiced for the first phase, and I submitted that invoice to her back in August. I actually submitted it on August 23rd is the date that I submitted the invoice. And, here we are speaking on, September the 4th about me refusing why would I wouldn't want to refuse anybody. She complained that I did not provide the substance abuse afflicted contractor with our personal information. That was because she told me that he has numerous open suits and is full of fraud. Why would I give my personal information, my home address, my professional business license number to someone who could potentially use that number and do fraud under it? People do that all the time. Jerry, this Gerardo, his father, Gerardo Orgelis Sr., owns the company. And I called him on the phone this Gerardo just performs work here in Naples. We have multiple offices. I told him, I said, I ran the issue by him. I said, do you feel comfortable with me giving our information to this GC? They're kind of in the middle of going through things. He says that she owes him money. And he says, no, absolutely not. So I was just doing my job. I'm just office manager. So that's all I really know. I've tried multiple times to reach out to, Teresa. I've tried reaching out to Bob. I've tried, we're good people. I was born and raised here in Naples. I was willing to work a payment plan out with them or do anything like that. And it was a dead end. And then on October 12th, when Deputy Boris was trying to serve her, he contacted me and he was like, man, she's dodging me. She's dodging me. She's dodging me. And I'm like, yeah, I've looked her up on the web and she has multiple open cases of this happening all over the nation. It really seems to me like she's a serial scam artist with small businesses and she tries to get work done and then not pay.
I have to object about
so
statements.
Whenever deputy went to
Ms.
her
Alvarez, hold on one second. Ms. Flatley objected. It's the first time we've had an objection during the trial. Let me explain this. Obviously, this is small claims court, but the rules of small claims court very clearly say that our rules of evidence do apply. And so when someone makes an objection, I need to listen to the grounds and rule on that objection before we proceed. So, Ms. Flatley, what's the basis for your objection?
That this is conjecture and defaming, and there's no evidence or proof of any such thing.
Okay, objection's overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Alvarez.
I do have proof of what I was stating. It's public, information. But anyway, the officer told me on the phone, that he went to the home where Jerry had performed work at, and there was multiple contractors and tradespeople there.
What's the objection?
This is hearsay. She's making statements about somebody else's statements.
Okay, well, hearsay is a valid basis to object. So you're saying she is testifying to what the officer told her?
Correct.
All right, Ms. Alvarez, do you have a response?
My response is that, I'm under oath, so I'm telling the truth of what a deputy told me.
And there's no one questioning that. I'm not doubting that you're telling the
Okay.
truth. But she's right. Hearsay is defined as an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. And so what that means technically is that you cannot tell me what someone else tells you.
Okay. Well, Teresa said.
Hold on a second, Ms. Alvarez.
Okay.
You have to give me a chance. I'm trying to explain.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
First, and then you have to give me a chance to rule on the objection. I could just rule on it, but I'm trying to explain it to you so you understand my ruling. And so her objection is well-founded. You can't tell me what someone else told you. The objection is sustained. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. On August the 8th, I sent her a email explaining a bunch of different things of why we did not want to work with the contractor that had, substance abuse issues, all these different reasonings. She came back on this October 9th. She said, I'm going to file a lawsuit against you and a complaint with the county about your business practices. You are very well aware of what you did, regardless of your wife's insanity. I guess she's writing this to Gerardo. We're not married. You stand to have a tremendous amount of trouble from the way you have misheld your business. You have a very small window of opportunity to come to some sort of a rational conclusion. If I don't hear from you in the next few hours, I will file my complaint against you with the county and a countersuit. Your Honor, if we had done anything wrong, why would you wait to file a complaint? Why would you wait to file a complaint with the county if we had done something wrong? So I said, I responded, Teresa, after multiple attempts to reach you, Jerry and I were both told that any further contact would be considered harassment. I am not Jerry's wife. However, Jerry and I still are willing to communicate with you in a civil manner. We pride ourselves on our work ethic and our reputation speaks for itself. We will not entertain threats or falsity. We've done nothing wrong, and anyone, including a judge, would be able to see that. All we did was complete the work that we weren't compensated for and be subjected to your verbal abuse and drama. I'm sure by now You've been served and are aware that we have filed a suit for the amount due. We've also discovered, and I talk about the things that she objected to. I said, I've already notified the county about your project. That is not permitted. And if you wish to speak with us in a civil manner, feel free to reach out to either of us. And I gave her both of our phone numbers, which she already had. She responded with, let's see. I assure you, I am not the problem and your facts are completely incorrect. I will see you in court. And that was fine with me. But then she responded again right after. She said, you are completely nuts. I have not been served, but I will be suing my expenses, Your insanity of the invoice is twice as much as the cost of the entire completed job. Your Honor, she had immense work done to this house. There's no way that our small phase of work was double the amount of her entire job.
Basis?
The basis that she was never privy to the home or anything that was done in it. So
All right,
she's
well,
making.
that goes to the weight of her testimony, not the admissibility of her testimony. That objection is overruled. All right, Ms. Alvarez, anything else?
She says, please get help. You obviously have lost touch with reality. So I don't know. I've tried to be civil and work something out with Miss Teresa.
Anything else?
From me, no, Your Honor. That's it. That's all I know and all I've seen.
Okay, Ms. Flatley, do you have any questions for Ms. Alvarez?
I have questions for Jerry, who
So that's a
actually
no?
no.
All right, so Mr. Urgelis, this is your chance to testify. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and tell me about this case, okay?
Yes, sir. I'm off mute. So, what's the day of the, okay.
On May.
What I completed, what day?
June 7th.
June 7th, the day it was complete,
June
or complete.
6th.
All right, well, like Amber was saying, on June 6th, the work was completed. On June, and then I went into the hospital. On June 18th was when Terry Flatley, she sent me a text and says, I hope you're feeling better. I hope everything works out. And I'll keep you in my prayers. So she acknowledged that I was in the hospital on June 18th. I have easily over $500 in material on that job. Our total invoice was only $26.95. I didn't leave anything uncompleted with that phase of work. Oh, you know, I did a repipe inside of the master bathroom. I turned one lavatory into a double lavatory, so I repiped the water and drain. I set 2 different shower pans, one in the master bathroom and one in the guest bathroom. Those shower pans are like $80 a piece. That's $160 right there. I capped off an old tub drain. Oh, and I'm sorry. And I also converted a tub into a shower, which we had to chip up the concrete floor, which was like 6 inches of concrete. We had to chip up that floor. That was an 8-hour day. The repipe was an 8-hour day. And the 2 shower pans was another 6-hour day. Just wanted to say, I mean, I did good work there. The invoice is very cheap and we did not get not 1 penny. She didn't try to make 1 payment towards the work. I mean, that's all I really got to say is I did work, I completed work, and I never got paid for it. I'm on mute. I can't hear him. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay, anything else from you then?
Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
Ms. Flatley, do you have any questions for him?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
So, Jerry, when we contacted you, you came in and you brought a guy named Ariel, correct?
When?
When you were
Which day?
contacted, according to your office manager, you came between June 4th and 6th and you completed the scope of the work. Did you have a contract with me?
Yeah, you had a verbal contract with Bob.
I had a verbal contract with you.
And in what way? Did you give me an estimate? Did you give anything? So in 2 days, the 4th through the 6th, you did hours and hours of work, then completely disappeared to a hospital where no one in your office for months could get in touch with you.
Nobody in my office could get in touch with me?
Even the guy that you left to do the work, you weren't physically there.
Is that a question?
Were you physically present to do this work, or was it someone else? that
I was
not a
physically present doing the work, yes.
Mr. What's your last name? I forgot, Jerry.
Urgelis.
Urgelis. Mr. Urgelis.
Mhm.
So you contend that you were at my house June 4th, 5th, and 6th and did hours and hours and hours of work by yourself, unaided by Ariel.
Ariel was there, but I did most of the work. I did the repipe. I did Ariel did the shower pans. That's what Ariel did.
Mr. Urgelis, disappeared completely, correct? After the 6th.
Disappeared. What do you mean disappeared?
You were unreachable.
By who?
Anybody that tried. I mean, I'm supposed to be asking you questions, not arguing with you. Were you reachable? Was your office picking up the phone?
Yes, we have it all right here.
Okay, any other questions?
I would like to know where. We were told, you sent a message to Ariel that you had burned your hand and you were in the hospital. Is that correct?
No, I did not burn my hand.
Your Honor, I'd like to.
Hearsay. Your Honor, she's talking about hearsay from another person.
Ms. Alvarez, you're done. You can't just.
You gotta stand up for yourself and object. Fight this.
Hold on a second, Ms. Alvarez. I don't want to hear that in the background, okay?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Hold on. Mr. Urgelis is doing just fine, okay? And I don't want to ask him to put his audio on mute. That would, in essence, cut him off.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I don't want to do that, but I can't listen to you in the background while I'm trying to listen to them.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Flatley, what were you were saying something to me about an objection?
I didn't.
Okay, next question, if any.
Why, Mr. Urgelis, did you wait over 90 days to even send an invoice or make contact with me or anybody that was working on the project?
I'm not sure if it was 90 days, but
it was well over 90 days I stayed.
90 days? Amber. What day was well, I don't do invoicing, so that's why I need her help.
No, if
I don't do
know the
invoicing.
answer to a question, just say I don't know the answer to that question.
It's August.
How many days until you invoiced her?
Oh, shortly after we spoke on the phone
I
with my
want you to
master.
listen to me, okay? Mr. Urgelis, if you don't know, if she asks you a question that maybe Ms. Alvarez would know the answer to, but you don't know the answer to, picture yourself in the courtroom, okay? If we were in a courtroom right now, Ms. Alvarez would likely be in the hallway, okay? And you're up on the witness stand, okay? This is I know that this is an unusual setup on Zoom, but this is a court event. And if you were, even if she was in the courtroom and you were up here on the stand next to me, you wouldn't be having a conversation with her in the gallery. I promise you that. It wouldn't happen. So if
You need to come over here.
She can sit there. No, she can sit there fine, but she can't talk to you. Okay.
Okay.
If she asks you a question and you don't know the answer, just tell me that. I'm a reasonable person. I understand there's a division of responsibility. If Ms. Flatley asks you a question that Ms. Alvarez knows, but you don't, just say, I don't know that.
Yes, sir.
My office manager did that. And it sounds like that's your answer to the question about the 90 days on the invoice, right? You don't know the answer.
I do not know the answer.
He doesn't know. Ms. Flatley, do you have any other questions?
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Urgelis, did you pull a permit for the plumbing that you did? That you claim that you did? Did you pull a permit?
You have a general contractor that pulls the permit.
You were not asked that. What you were asked was, did you get a permit for the plumbing that you did?
At your home? No.
Correct.
No.
Is it normal to never pull a permit? Is it normal to not pull a permit as a licensed plumber?
Without the contractor, if you have a general contractor, that's the general contractor's job.
Mr. Urgelis, I'm asking you, did you pull a
Oh, you're asking me, is it normal to not pull a permit?
When you were asked to pull a permit and to show up at a job, did you do those two things?
Okay, you can't keep repeating the questions because we're running out of time here. And you still have, I think, 2 witnesses you want to call, Ms. Flatley.
Correct.
I know the answers to these questions. If I know the answers, that means he's already answered them. He did not pull a permit. And then you asked him, is that usual? And he says, when you have a GC, yes, that's usual because the GC pulls the permit. That's his answer. So do you have any other questions? I don't want you to keep hammering that issue.
No, I would like to have Mr. Wilkinson, who was the construction manager.
So does that mean you're done with Mr. Urgelis?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now this is your opportunity to call witnesses, and you say you want to start with Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Wilkinson, the way this will work is you can take your audio off mute. Ms. Flatley will ask you questions and you just answer her questions. And when she's done, either Mr. Urgelis or Ms. Alvarez, but not both, will have a chance to ask you questions, okay?
Right.
All right, Ms. Flatley, you can ask him questions. Go ahead.
Hi, Joe. You were hired by me to manage the construction, the remodeling of my condominium. You have a business called
Compass Concierge and Home.
And that's pretty much what you do for extra.
Home oversight, home watch, and concierge service for a small group of people.
So we contacted Jerry Urgelis for him to do some repiping and some general plumbing. At the time, we did not have a GC.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes. At the time when I was involved, Bob had a contact, and they, we needed a plumber, and Jerry the plumber showed up, went over the scope of the work. Jerry knew what was, had to be done, what the scope of the project was. He showed up for a couple of days to do rough-in, and then when it came time to, do more work, we could not find Jerry. We contacted Jerry's office and through his cell, no avail. And then finally, we found out through Ariel, and there was a worker of Jerry's, that Jerry had been burned severely on his hand. And even Ariel made a comment that, he burned his hand, but he didn't burn his mouth. He never even called Ariel, his employee, to let him know what was going on. So we were trying to find out what was going on with Jerry through Ariel, and Ariel couldn't even get in touch with Jerry. So we did not know where Jerry was, what happened to Jerry. And then we were in the interim, I guess yourself was trying to reach out to his office and stuff like that. I know me personally had called his cell phone various times, but then his voicemail was full and we couldn't get in touch with him, and therefore you had to go a different route.
Did Mr. Urgelis do more than the 1 or 2 days of work with his worker at the condominium?
Did he what?
Did he do more than 1 or 2 days?
No, he was there for a couple of days, I guess 2 3 days doing roughing. He roughed in the bathrooms, the master bath, and he capped the sink, the water line, the hot and cold in the kitchen area.
Now, Joe, do you remember if it was Ariel that did the work or Jerry?
Jerry did some of the roughing in the very first 2 days, I guess 2 days he was there with Ariel, and Ariel was doing the wet bed, like the pans, chipping out to put the drain, because they had a center to relocate the drains in the master bath. And they, where the tub used to be, you know, you capped that off and rerouted the drain. So Ariel was doing most of the work after I would say Jerry was there maybe 3 days.
We asked Jerry to pull a permit. Did he pull a permit?
Right. No, when it seemed like when the time when we were asking for permits, that's when you know, Jerry disappeared. So I don't know if there was ever a permit filed on his end. I wouldn't think that there was. And then when the GC was asking him for his license number to file for the new permit, that was holding it up, because I guess he wasn't getting that information, or maybe his office wasn't getting the whole lowdown from Jerry there. I don't know. I mean, I never talked to Jerry's significant other. I don't believe. And so, you know, all we needed was communication from Jerry, and we didn't get it in that time frame. So, and Ariel, his worker, did not get it as well. And my belief is Ariel ended up going to work for someone else, because he never really reconnected with Jerry. That was my understanding, my last conversation with Ariel.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Did we incur great expense having to find somebody that could help us pass a plumbing inspection?
Yeah. So, well, by the time we found that, and there was delays, and we got that all done, you probably lost a good 2 weeks. A good 2 weeks. I mean, you know, if we would have been much more done if Jerry would have showed up one time.
Okay. So, Joe, so we had multiple problems associated with the fact that Mr. Orgelis, a licensed plumber, never pulled the permit. Right. And disappeared completely. His office did not answer. Are you making that statement too? You tried to get in touch with him?
Yes, I had his cell phone number and his office, and we didn't get in touch with anybody. And no one got, you know, let's just look at this the other retrospect. If someone goes into the hospital or whatever the reason is, that person, you would think their office would contact all their clients, number one, to let them know that this in fact occurred, and what their plan would be, and who was going to be sent to the project to complete it. And that never occurred.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next question.
I would like to call.
Oh, sorry. Who said Your Honor?
Oh, I did. I don't know if I'm allowed to object anything.
That depends. Which one of you plans to ask Mr. Wilkinson questions?
Can I ask him questions?
At the appropriate time.
Okay.
So will it be you asking him questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. So yes, you are allowed to object.
Okay. Do you know the date?
No. You're not asking him questions. I thought you asked me if you can object.
Oh, yes, I'm objecting. I had a few objections, but I stayed quiet.
What's the objection?
Hearsay of the Lewis guy that is not here to testify for himself.
Ms. Flatley, do you have a response?
I didn't hear a Lewis guy.
I don't know who Lewis is.
Me neither.
The aerial man that she's talking about.
Okay. That is hearsay. Okay, sustained.
Does she have any proof that he was an employee of ours? I'm so confused.
That's not an objection.
Okay.
That may be.
I object to a lot of the hearsay.
Well, if you look back at the transcripts.
Hold on. Mr. Wilkinson. Okay. You don't argue the objections, okay? The parties get to argue. I know you want to jump in, but the parties argue the objections. I rule on the objections, and then you testify. That's all you do, is just testify about the facts of this case. So I'm going to go back to Ms. Flatley. Let's get this thing back on track here. Do you have any more questions on direct examination for Mr. Wilkinson?
No, sir.
Okay, Miss Alvarez, this is your chance to ask him questions. It's called a cross-examination. So you're
Sure.
asking Mr. Wilkinson questions. Go ahead.
Mr. Wilkinson, hi, how are you?
Good, how are
Initial
you?
trial, by the way, needs to be done by 10 o'clock.
Okay, well, hurry. I'm sorry, Judge.
It's okay.
You say that we've never spoken, correct?
To my belief, I think I spoke to somebody when I called the office, and that's when they told me he was in the hospital. I don't know if that was you or
Okay.
to
Are you the
somebody.
existing contractor or were you the last contractor or the finalizing contractor on Ms. Flatley's job?
No, I'm just a consulting for, I wasn't a contractor doing any physical work. I was management, project management totally.
So you were just managing
I
the
was
project.
basically an owner. I was basically an owner rep.
Okay. Do you have my phone number?
Do I have your phone number? Probably in my, on Jerry the plumber's card, whatever is on
Okay.
Jerry the plumber's card.
So you don't have
He does.
any proof of when you reached out to me, correct?
I could go through my phone records, but I didn't get that detailed. I have it on I have a detailed day by day of the project in a book.
That you didn't
So I
bring
could
with you
say,
today.
hey, I called Jerry the plumber and on this date and tell you when, but I
Okay.
do not have that right in front of me. If we have to go to a further date.
Okay, I understand. How many contractors were on Ms. Flatley's job all throughout the process?
There was a electrician, a plumber,
No.
a GC.
I'm sorry.
How many GCs?
How many GCs were on the project?
How many total GCs while I was
Correct.
involved? There was 2.
Okay,
And
and
before-
before you became involved with the project, are you aware of any other contractors that were on Ms. Flatley's job?
On their current job, I know they had a price from one GC that they weren't happy with, so they ended up not going with them. They went with whoever.
You
they
know
went.
why there were 3 GCs on her job?
No, you would have to ask. I know. I guess originally they had one that
Honor,
was
I
too costly,
Hold on.
and then
would
they
like
decided
Hold
to
on,
to
go.
object to
on.
this line of questioning. It's irrelevant to the matter at hand.
Overruled. So the answer is, do you know why they had 3 GCs? Your answer, Mr. Wilkinson, is no.
No, I don't believe they had 2 GCs the whole time. So they had, when I was there, they had George was one, and
Well,
then they went
okay,
to
we don't need
Umberto.
those.
Okay.
I
Would
want-
you say that's really expensive to have all these different contractors and GCs on this job?
I would say that it's always more cost effective to have a reliable contractor. That's what I would say.
Okay. Are you aware of any plumbing permits that have ever been pulled on her job from start to finish before we came on board, before you came on board even?
No. And I believe that Jerry was contacted and brought on board, like by Bob, by his friend. And when he showed up, he was, went over the scope with Jerry. I think it was very well laid out for him by myself. And then he was, like, again, being professional and being in the business myself, it's you as the professional are responsible to pull them permits. It's you,
Correct.
the one who knows the rules.
Did you or anyone that's in charge of the job check to see our proper certifications, licensing information, any of that information? That's the owner's responsibility to do.
That was all the owner's responsibility. The owners brought the fifes and the fiddles to the dance. I just managed them. So all that paperwork was then handled by Miss Flatley. And
Sure.
so I wouldn't know the contractual things.
Sure.
I didn't get copies of contracts.
Sure. So she didn't do any of that you're aware of.
Right.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
also,
yeah.
how long would you say that Jerry so-and-so disappeared? How long would you say he disappeared for?
I would say close to 3 months.
3 months. Now,
Right.
the work that you went over with Jerry when you first hired him, right, which was capping
Right.
off things and the rough-in, as you called it,
Right.
was that phase completed?
The rough-in was, but the bathroom, showers, and the beds were not. The drains had to be relocated in the center of the bathroom because they were being reconfigured.
But that would be a second
and-
phase of work.
That was the first phase. That was all going to be in the first phase, and that never came back to finish that rough-in. That's when Jerry got injured or whatever happened to Jerry.
Right, okay. And do you know if Ariel is in fact an employee of Jerry's Plumbing Inc.?
Yeah, well, here's what I'm going to say to you. Jerry previously, per the discussion, said Ariel was the one who did the beds.
Okay.
Did he not say that? So why would Ariel not be an employee of yours if he was there working, doing your work?
Did you contact Ariel individually without contacting the office to get Ariel to come back to your home?
No.
Then how would you speak to Ariel after Jerry had left?
Ariel came to the job. Okay, he came to the job. He was there working. Okay, then he actually came, I guess, to find out where is Jerry. I guess the first time, I guess Jerry showed up. I mean, Ariel showed up, and he didn't even know what happened to Jerry at that time. So Ariel was there a day waiting for Jerry, who never showed up.
Okay, whenever you hire, since you manage a lot of projects, I'm assuming, whenever you acquire a new contractor, do you contact their office directly, typically, to schedule work?
No, but typically when I do a job and the owner gives me a list, again, I only don't recommend. They bring all the people to the dance, I just manage them. So I'm not providing them with plumbers, electricians, and stuff. So once I find out who all the players are, and we make a portfolio up of those people's and their contact information. Okay, it's the owner's responsibility. Okay, again, I'm just a consultant. It's the owner's responsibility to make sure everything that you're asking. The contract's with the owner, the insurance is, it's supposed to be, promoted with the owner. If the owner is supposed to know if they have a permit, everything is in the owner. I have no liability.
Okay, I understand. Now, we have physical proof of that Jerry was only absent for 10 days. Okay, I wish that you had your log with you so that we could kind of go back and forth. But we're feeling like it's a pretty large stretch there to say that he was gone for any more length of a time than that.
Okay. When did he come back?
He never came back because we were never paid for the first phase.
Right.
So
And
we're not going to finish doing more work.
Right.
And Ariel also says that you contacted him individually, had him come back and do more work, and have never paid Ariel.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Was he burned? Because that's what was told to me. That was the story I got, that he was severely burned on his hand.
I don't think he needs to get into the nature of his injury.
No, that's a HIPAA violation.
Okay.
And so any more questions? We've got 5 minutes. I've got other people in the waiting room for my next trial. We've been
Your Honor, could I please call Mr.
Hold on a
Calabrese?
second. I'm talking.
Sorry.
Please let me finish. We've got 5 minutes left now. So Ms. Alvarez, do you have any other important questions that are directly related to this case for Mr. Wilkinson before he's done?
Yes, I do. One more question, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you feel, sir, that Jerry is entitled to compensation for the work that he was performed?
I think that Jerry, if he would have come back and performed that, I don't know what the additional costs were involved for them to bring in the other plumber to finish the work. So I guess after you found out what the additional cost was, in other words, if it cost them more for the premium, to pay a premium to get this plumber to come in, whatever that cost is should be deducted from whatever Jerry did.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Ms. Flatley.
Okay.
I'd like to call Mr. Calabrese.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're gonna have to ask.
Yeah, I'll see you.
I'll ask him fast.
Hey, stop. Sorry, hey, stop. Mr. Wilkinson just left. The dog is going crazy. Hey, come here. I'll give you a treat. Come here. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. Calabrese, did Jerry come to do the work as discussed, and did he leave without no contact from the office? No phones were nothing was submitted. The first time we heard from him was when we were looking to fix the mistakes that were made. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, Jerry was there like the first couple of days. I got recommended to Jerry by Mike Didio and Amber's right. She said she used to do work for Didio's. In fact,
That's
DDO,
not what you did. She can show the judge. It's on mute.
I'm sorry,
No, I can hear you. You're not on mute.
can you hear me, Your Honor?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so anyway, it was recommended by Mike DDO. Jerry did come up for a couple of days. Ariel was there working on the rough-in. Jerry literally disappeared for 3 months. I don't care what anybody says. We all said the same thing. DDO couldn't find him for 3 months. I heard he had a heart problem, then he hurt his hand. I went into the hospital on June 9th for triple bypass, and I was back out in 7 days talking to people, Your Honor. So I don't know why he couldn't come back and talk for 3 months. First time I ever heard from Amber was in August, and she was gonna give us a bill, and she came up with some outrageous bill for like $2,700. Jerry himself said he was there for 3 days. How do you charge $2,700? I ran a Fortune 500 company. I've never seen anything like this. No invoices, shows up, disappears for 3 months. They can say whatever they want, but you can have another trial and we get 2 other people say he disappeared for 3 months. So did he do a couple of days of work? Yes. Should he be paid $2,700? No way.
Mr.
Can I object? Can I object, Your Honor?
Yes, what's the basis?
The base is it's a lie. I mean,
A lie?
January
Mr. Calabrese,
January
let him make his
18th. I have texts from Terry Flatley with her saying, I hope you feel better. January
Mr.
18th.
Ballas, let me interrupt you, okay? An objection is a legal objection, okay? Like hearsay or relevance. It's not a disagreement with the facts. You disagree with the facts, I understand that. You disagree with a lot of what they're saying, they disagree with a lot of what you're saying, but that's not the basis for an objection, so your objection's overruled. Ms. Flatley, next question for Mr. Calabrese.
Mr. Calabrese, do you remember me giving Ariel, the man that actually came and did work there, cash
Yes,
to
absolutely.
compensate for his labor? Because,
Absolutely.
and what was the basis of me compensating Jerry the plumber's worker? Do you remember?
Because you felt bad because Ariel was doing work, had no income, and he couldn't get in touch with Jerry. You didn't know what was going on.
Thank you. No more questions, Your Honor.
All right. So who, Mr. Gellis, do you or Ms. Alvarez want to ask Mr. Calabrese some questions?
Yes, I'd like to ask him some questions. Do you have any questions to ask him?
Go ahead.
I would like to ask Terry Flatley a question.
Well, she hasn't testified. So do either of you want to ask Mr. Calabrese a question? Yes or no?
Bob, hi, this is Amber. I reached out multiple times to you. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but it was in August.
Well, Bob, have we ever been in contact prior to August?
No, I didn't even know who you were. I didn't even know who you were until August.
Exactly. So you never tried contacting the office
Nope.
during the time that Jerry was missing?
I don't own that house. I'm just telling you what I saw.
So did you or did you not hire Jerry to do the work at that home?
I did not hire Jerry. Flatley hired Jerry.
Anything else?
No more.
Well, I have texts with Bob. I have texts from Bob. You're under oath, Bob.
I am under oath. I am not the owner of that house.
Okay.
I did not. Did I sign a contract with you?
I'm gonna put
No.
everybody on mute. You can't do that. Ms. Flatley, are any other questions for Mr. Calabrese?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Alvarez, any other questions for Mr. Calabrese?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Calabrese, thank you. You're free to go. Ms. Flatley,
Thank you.
are you testifying?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I got Jerry the plumber. He was recommended by the realtor that sold me the condominium. I thought he was a great guy. I mean, he was popular with the electrician. We all knew each other. He showed up a couple of hours to do some work on top of his worker, Ariel. A man named Ariel was there performing, I'd say, 8/10 of the work of the rough-in. Jerry came in and he was sweating some joints and stuff like that, but and he moved a pipe and he was using a blowtorch. So it seemed logical a couple of days later when Jerry just couldn't, like Ariel kept coming and doing the work because he was a very good employee, and he was very concerned for Jerry. And he went to the house where Amber and Mr. Urgelis reside. He said, she's not answering the door. She's not answering me. He disappeared, and we actually started to worry because we didn't even know about this hand thing. Then we were told he burned his hand. But the other part is that we were laughing because we were just like, oh my God, either he ran off with another woman or he's in jail, because we couldn't get in touch with them at all.
Ms. Flatley, that sort of commentary does nothing for me, okay? First of all, I hope he didn't burn his hand. If he burned his hand, I hope he's better. Okay,
right.
If he was
but
sick,
again,
hold
Your Honor,
on, Ms. Flatley, hold on. Let me talk, okay? Because I need to keep this train on the tracks here, okay? And when you talk about a girlfriend or in jail, that's inappropriate, and it's pure conjecture, and it's not fair to anyone. Okay, hold on, I'm not done talking. I listen, I don't want to sound cold or callous, but I'm really not interested in his hand. Because the whole point of the hand is your position is that he disappeared. So I understand that. The nature of that or the reason for that is not really that relevant to me. So testify to me about the facts of this case.
Facts?
Only the facts of this case.
Facts of this case is I had an agreement with Jerry the plumber. He was to pull a permit. He was going to perform the rough-in, and his company was going to be responsible. So the problem I had is because this licensed plumber disappeared and only his worker, who was not licensed, performed whatever work he could perform. We were unable to get a permit, pass our plumbing. I had to hire a man to do a schematic of the drains so that we could even get approval for a plumbing permit, because Mr. Urgelis disappeared, could not be contacted, and he put my project back by months. It was very difficult, and it was extremely irresponsible, and it cost me a fortune to have somebody else put their license on as a subcontractor on some work that was already performed. So I had to pay an enormous extra to get somebody to cover the fact that Mr. Urgelis never got the permit. Amber was the one that said that she didn't want to put their license on it because she didn't trust my contractor. Now, nobody needed her personal information. He's a licensed plumber. Most plumbers I see have on the back of their trucks. It's not secret information. So basically, to me, I felt that she was shaking us down to try to make some money because he wasn't working for so long.
Your Honor?
Yes?
May I?
You're done. You're done.
No, may I ask her a question? May I object?
You can object. You can't ask any questions. It's not that time yet. What's your objection?
That this is all hearsay.
Overruled.
Where's her proof?
Go ahead, Ms. Flatley. Overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Flatley.
So that is my problem, that Mr. Urgelis did not perform the work. The person that did perform the work that he brought to the project got paid, and he is fine. So the man that did do the work got paid. Then in August, we hear for this to get money. That was the only thing. I mean, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
I object, Your Honor. Can she provide proof that she paid this man?
That's not an objection. That's not an objection. You're questioning the weight of her testimony. Overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Flatley.
That's pretty much my whole objection to the two of them coming back and extorting.
Okay.
Putting us in a very bad position. And it cost me a lot of money to resolve the issues that happened because Mr. Urgelis disappeared and never pulled a permit.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Flatley?
No, sir.
Okay. I want everybody to put your audio on mute and just listen to me for a few minutes here. All right. Everybody's on mute. Now, we have been at this for over an hour. The trial was noticed for 30 minutes. So I gave everybody more than enough time to present your cases. And I was prepared to enter a verdict, quite honestly, Ms. Flatley, in favor of you, only because of some conflicting testimony. And if I'm left at the end of the trial to throw my hands up in the air and say, gosh, I don't know if the plaintiff did work, what the quality of the work was, whether they deserve to get paid or not. But you had two witnesses who came in and testified, and one of them, quite frankly, is the only, I think, well, he and Mr. Calabrese, but Mr. Wilkinson was certainly the closest that we had to an objective, third-party, neutral person in this case. And he testified that, yes, Mr. Urgelis did do work with an employee or not, but even the employee was working for Jerry's Plumbing. He did get work, and Mr. Wilkinson said, yes, he should get paid minus whatever you paid someone else to finish the job. Although I know Ms. Alvarez is thinking the job was finished. This was the first phase, the rough-in that it was referred to. But you, Ms. Flatley, testified on a number of occasions how you paid someone else. You said at one point, you said, I had to pay an enormous extra. But I have no idea what that extra was. Had you told me what you had to pay someone else to actually do something, then I might have contemplated reducing the $26.95 by that amount. You did not tell me that. Perhaps that's something a lawyer would have done had you come with an attorney. But I think there are a couple of things that both sides would have done differently with counsel. But based on Mr. Urgelis's testimony and Mr. Wilkinson's testimony, it is obvious to me that work was done. And I think it's undisputed that it was not paid for. And so I've got testimony from Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Urgelis, that the work was not done and it was completed, at least that phase of it. And I've got a testimony from Mr. Wilkinson that they are owed some amount if we can take out whatever Ms. Flatley paid someone else, which I don't have. So bottom line, judgment for the plaintiff, Madam Clerk, for $26.95 plus costs $310. And that completes our trial. Thank you all very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too.
I just have one quick question. I do have exhibits that were not admitted, I believe, from the plaintiff. If you want, you can come pick them up, or I can dispose of them.
Okay, you can dispose of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all are free to sign off. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I've got one person in the waiting room
Okay.
for our 10 o'clock. I'm admitting him now.
Okay.
Mr. Nickel, good morning. Can you unmute, please?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. It's 10:10. I apologize for the delay. We've been in trial on a 9 o'clock case that ran long, so we've been in here doing some other things. But quite honestly, even if I didn't have anything, I would have made you wait until 10:10 anyway to see if the other side shows up.
Oh, okay.
And so the timing is actually working out just fine. Madam Clerk, this is 20 SC 2717, Mr. Nickel versus Brine. Beverly Brine. Mr. Nickel, before we do anything else, you see that she's not here.
Yes.
I can tell you that no one else is in the courtroom with me, and
Okay.
no one else is in the waiting room. So before we proceed, I need to make sure that Ms. Brine was properly noticed for this trial. There is an order setting the non-jury trial for today's date, February 10th at 10 o'clock. It's now 10:11. And this was mailed to you, Mr. Nickel, obviously, and to Ms. Brine on December 21. That's the same document that had the Zoom login credentials. So that was provided to both parties. So she was properly noticed and she's not here. Madam Clerk, I'm entering a default against the defendant based on her failure to appear. Mr. Nickel, what I need you to do is raise your right hand, take an oath, please. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. Thank you. So I've just entered a default against Ms. Brine based on her failure to appear for a properly noticed trial. So in just 30 seconds or less, I need you to tell me the dollar amount that you're seeking and just a very brief basis for it.
I'm seeking $292. The $150 was the charge that she owed me and agreed to pay me for a service I provided. $12 is the fee that Wells Fargo charged to cancel her check. $90 was what I filed for the clerk of courts to have this being done today, and then $40 to the sheriff's office to serve her with this info.
So that's
total
150. I'm sorry, total 292.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's 150 was the basis of the work. $12 Wells Fargo fee, 90 plus 40. Those are court costs. Cost of process. That's I was going to say cost of prosecution. That's the filing fee plus the service of process fee to the sheriff's office. And so, Madam Clerk, it's judgment for the plaintiff, Mr. Nickel, in the amount of, I'm going to say, Madam Clerk, $162 for principal plus costs in the amount of $130 for a total of $292. Madam Clerk, we good on those numbers?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Nickel, I'm sorry to say you will not have an opportunity to present your case or have a trial today because the case is over. I just entered a judgment in your favor, okay?
Thank you, Judge Crown. Appreciate that.
Any questions for me?
I don't understand how it works. Well, I guess this info would be passed on to her, and is she given a certain amount of time to make this right?
You're interested, understandably so, in collections. How do you actually collect on that? Because when I enter a judgment, it's just a piece of paper. It's an order directing her to pay you that amount of money, $292, and then you have to figure out how to collect. If she does not pay voluntarily, there is a process for garnishment. Madam Clerk, I know at one time the clerk's office used to have a brochure on the garnishment process for pro se folks. Do you guys have anything like that for Mr. Nickel?
It might be on our website.
Okay, it may not be necessary. Hopefully she voluntarily pays you.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, oftentimes people don't do that voluntarily. Right. And so you may need to look into the collections process, which can be complicated, but it is possible. And the clerk might have something for you to help you, guide you in that process.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Judge Crown. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nickel. Have a good day. You're free to sign off.
All right. Have a good day yourself.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so Madam Clerk. So that's it until 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be in recess until then. I'll see you in 15 minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Amanda, I just want to give you an update. I just went back to my office and I drafted and signed the 2 final judgments from the first 2 trials.
Okay.
All right, so we have 1 person in the waiting room. Let's see who this is. Good morning. Can you take your audio off mute, please?
Like that?
Yes, better. Thank you.
Okay.
What is your name, please?
Nivea Lamela.
All right, so you're the plaintiff, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is this yours?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you sent this to me. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Well, you notice that Mr. Barona is not here.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is make sure that he was properly, give me just a minute to do that. This is, Madam Clerk, just for the record, this is Lamela v. Barahona, 20 SC 2858. There is an order for the non-jury trial in the court file for today's date, February 10th at 10:30. It's now 10:37. There is no one in the courtroom with me. I'm alone in the courtroom. No one is in the waiting room. So the defendant was properly noticed and he's not here. Madam Clerk, that is a default entered against the defendant. Ma'am, I'm going to explain this to you in just a minute, okay?
Okay, thank you.
First, can you raise your right hand, please?
Yes,
You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
yes, I do.
Okay. And tell me your name again.
Nivea Lamela.
All right. And you're the plaintiff in this case against Mr. Barahona, right?
Yes.
So what happened is he's not here. He
Okay.
received notice of this just like you did, but he's
Mhm.
not here. And so I
Okay.
just entered a default against him, and I'm going to enter a default judgment against him in your favor. I just
Mhm.
need you to tell me the dollar amounts that you're looking for. How much does he owe you?
Well, $8,000. That's why I am suing him, because I just did a small claim, and I know that that is nothing compared to everything that I have to do here at home with all that disaster that he made in here. But at least with $8,000, I think that I can cover and finish all my construction.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, it is a default judgment against the defendant in the amount of $8,000 plus costs in the amount of $310.
Okay.
And so what'll happen is I'm going to go back to my office right now and draft that judgment, and I'll enter that. So we're not going to have a trial, Miss Lamela. There's no trial because he's not here. So
Okay.
I thank you for sending all of this in, but
Okay.
there's no reason for me to go over this because I just entered a default judgment in your favor.
Okay, and what that
You
means that
understand?
and that means that now he has to pay me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay,
All right. So there's nothing else to do today. That ends our sign off. Okay.
okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a
Have
good
a great day.
All
You
right.
too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, so I'm going to do exactly as I said. I'll go back, draft this judgment, and then I'll be back at 11 o'clock.
Sounds good.
See you then. Thanks.
Okay,
We're
thanks.
in recess.
¡Papi, ganamos el caso! ¡8,000 pesos! Sí, no se presentó y él me dijo que ya había esperado demasiado por él, que ya, que cuánto es lo que yo le estaba demandando. Y yo le dije que $8,000. Yo le dije que eso no era suficiente para todo lo que nosotros habíamos invertido, aparte de todo el desastre que lo había hecho, pero que con $8,000 pesos, que yo entiendo que eso es lo máximo que yo podía hacer un small claim, y él me dijo que estaba que perfecto, que entonces ya no va a haber más casos, no va a haber más trial, nada, porque él no se presentó, y él nos va a dar $8,000 pesos. Bueno, ahora el juez, le va a mandar, ya el juez ahora le manda todas las cosas que tiene que hacer él para mandar el dinero. Pero fíjate que le dije, oh, that means that then he's going to be giving me the $8,000. Yes, ma'am. ¿Qué significa eso? Bueno, papi, pero salió de la corte, no preso.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Judge.
So quick update on our 1030 trial, and that is Cavalry versus Murray, 20 SC 2794. They just filed a notice of settlement and a cancellation of the trial today. And that one is actually, there's a notation here that says in the minutes canceled 11 o'clock. That's actually the 11:30 trial.
Okay, yes, I see that.
Right, you agree? I'm not reading that wrong.
Nope, that's what I have too.
Okay, so Cavalry versus Murray, 11:30 is canceled.
Okay.
I'm going to take that off the docket here, leaving us with our final trial of the day, and that's Portfolio versus Sonier, 19 SC 221. It looks like everybody's in the waiting room.
Okay.
All right, so I'll admit them all at once.
Sounds good. Good morning.
Good morning. Was that Miss Muir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good morning. I also have Jan, Mark, Jeffer something, and Brian S. Can you all, for now, can all of you take your audio off mute so we can talk with one another?
Yes, Your Honor. How are you doing today?
All right, I am fine, thank you. You're Mr. Sonier?
Yes. You want me to change my name so it says that?
No, I got it here. That's fine. But I want you to tell me how to pronounce it so I get it right.
Sonier.
Sonier. Okay. Mr. Sonier, good morning to you. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
All right, very good. And we have Miss Muir here. Miss Muir, do you have video?
Unfortunately not, Your Honor. They did a security update on our laptops at work, and for some reason that is now limiting my Zoom capacity, so I have to run a fix with IT, but unfortunately it's limiting my video.
Okay, but you can see our screen here. We've got Jan, Mark, Jeffer. You see that?
Yes, Your Honor, that's our witness.
Okay, and do you need that person right now?
If we're gonna...
Yeah, if we're gonna proceed, right? What is that person's
yes.
name?
Jan Mark Jefferson, Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. Jefferson, okay. Okay, well, Mr. Sonier, let me talk to you first. Actually, Miss Muir, you're ready to proceed to trial, I assume.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Sonier, same question to you. First of all, do you understand that we're here for a trial on this case?
Yes. I was actually just reading this and realized it says any evidence I want to submit, it has to be done 10 days prior to the trial. Because we had a mediation. I presented them the proof that I paid this debt, and then they were like, okay, we'll get back with you. And then I didn't hear for over a year, and then I get this letter about a trial.
So when you say this letter, are you looking at it right now?
Yes.
And
yes.
It says at the top, it says order setting non-jury trial, and it's got my signature on the bottom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're talking about that part at the bottom that says at least 10 days before trial, you've got to file your exhibits.
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't see that before?
I did not. I just looked at the time and date, and yeah.
So is your defense complete payment? You believe you've completely paid this off?
Yes, I have on my statements from my bank account, it shows where I paid $1,500 to settle this debt, my debit card.
So first of all, let me just clarify that right now, Mr. Sonier, we're just having a conversation. We have not started the trial, okay?
Okay.
So this is not the trial. And when I'm just curious about something you just said, you paid $1,500 to settle this debt. Does that mean, in other words, so you're not telling me you've paid it in full, whatever that amount may be, but you negotiated with the plaintiff at some point and came to a settlement agreement at the amount of $1,500?
Yes, they told me if I pay $1,500 now, that the debt will be complete, but then it was never taken off my credit report, and that was in November of 2017 that I paid it.
Okay, Ms. Muir, let me come to you and get your perspective on that, what he just said. Again, this is not the trial. I'm just trying to figure out if we're actually in a trial posture or not.
Yes, Your Honor. This case was filed in 2019. We obviously do not have any record of any complete payment. Otherwise, a suit would not have been filed in 2019. Now, as far as anything Mr. Sonia is saying, I'm not sure if he's saying that he paid the original creditor, if he's saying he paid portfolio recovery. I would need some clarity on that because our witness would be able to confirm whether or not there was any payments attempts or settlement attempts with portfolio recovery prior to the filing of the lawsuit.
All right, Mr. Sonier, do you understand what she just said?
Yes, let me pull up my statement. Give me 1 second. Yeah, because we had this mediation and I showed them and then I didn't hear anything for a long time. Just 1 second. Okay, it was $1,500. Yeah, $1,560.68 to portfolio recovery on November 13th, 2017. And then they were supposed to, because I remember at mediation they asked, they were like, "And do you have a document stating this settles the debt?" And I was like, "I don't." And whoever was representing from portfolio recovery was like, "Okay, we'll look into this." And then I never heard anything until now. That was December 2019. We had the mediation.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay.
What were you just looking at to get that information?
That is my Bank of America statement. It shows I made the payment. I can forward it to any email or text.
Well, that's okay for now, for our purposes. I just was curious. Okay, Ms. Muir, what do you have?
Again, Your Honor, we do not have any evidence of payment in 2017. Mr. Jefferson might be able to confirm whether or not a settlement attempt was offered or made by portfolio recovery. But again, we did send a demand letter prior to filing the lawsuit and filed the lawsuit because we did not have any record of payment on this account. Mr. Jefferson? Mr. Jefferson, can you hear us?
I'm sorry. Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good morning. Yes. So Mr. Sarnier was saying that he had a SIF agreement in November of 2017. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Right. Portfolio Recovery Associates did not purchase this pool of accounts, which contained Mr. Sarnier's account, until December 22nd, 2019. So in November of 2017, we didn't even own the account as of yet. We didn't own it until December 22nd, 2017.
Maybe I can find a record of when I disputed it on my credit report, because it was well before we went to mediation. So there was already I'm not sure the technical term. There was already a note on my credit report from Portfolio Recovery saying I owed this amount long before we went to mediation. Is there any way to maybe get a continuance or something so I can get all of this evidence? Because I have it. I can easily email.
There's the request. I thought we were going there. Okay, Mr. Sonier, I thought you were going to make that request. It sounds like you've got some documents you want to provide to the plaintiff. Ms. Muir, we've got a defense request for a continuance. What's your position on that, please?
Your Honor, we would oppose the request for continuance at this time simply because we do have our witness here today. Documents were filed in anticipation of trial and sent to the defendant. I understand that he is not prepared at this juncture to go forward, but the plaintiff is.
So when you say you've got your witness here, obviously in today's environment, here is not here. Mr. Jefferson is sitting wherever he normally sits for Zoom hearings. It might be in his office. And so he logged in probably 15 minutes ago. So this has taken about 15 minutes of his time, right?
That's No, that is correct, Your Honor. But I just meant that we are prepared. We do have a witness here today, whether that be by Zoom or.
Right, I understand that. But what's the prejudice to you? I understand that we've all spent 15 or 20 minutes here today on this case. But other than that, what's the prejudice to you that would outweigh our desire to get this right? If Mr. Saunier has documentation or evidence that he's either settled it in its entirety or at least made a partial payment, which would amount to about half, I mean, don't we want to know that? There's got to be some pretty serious prejudice to your side to outweigh that. And so what is the prejudice to you that would support your objection to his request?
Well, Your Honor, in those terms, it is likely not as prejudicial for our witness to return, but I would request that the court advise Mr. Saunier to file all pertinent documentation so that this does not happen again. The trial order was issued, which provided him the date as well as the information on filing his documents. So we would request that Mr. Saunier just be aware that for the next time, he would have to have those documents filed.
Agreed, and I'm going to have a conversation with him about that in just a minute. I'm hoping there is not a next time. So you objected based on your witness being present today. I'm not going to deny the request for a continuance on that ground. Your other ground was that you have filed exhibits. Again, I'm not going to deny the continuance on that ground. Your filing is still valid for the next time. You would have to do that sooner or later anyhow. So I just don't see the prejudice to the plaintiff in a continuance. So, Mr. Saunier, your request is granted. We're going to cancel the hearing for today's purposes and reschedule. And you're going to get another notice, okay, that's going to look very similar to what you got last time. And even if it doesn't, you have to know now that you've got to file these exhibits no less than 10 days before the trial. In fact, what you should do is file them within the next week, right? I mean, even if the trial is months away, it's in your best interest to find these documents and get them filed. And so I do want you to do that. I do want you to file these things with the clerk. More importantly, Ms. Muir, is there contact information for you so that he can get them to you, because you two may be able to resolve this case without my involvement.
Yes, Your Honor. If you're ready, Mr. Saunier, for the information.
Grab a pen.
And Madam Clerk, in just a minute, when they're done, I'm going to ask you if we're going to give them another date now or send one to them in the mail. But let them finish that first, and then we'll discuss that.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, phone number for our office is 305 448 0006.
Okay, and who would I ask to speak with you?
You can ask to speak with me, and there is also staff who would be able to help you in the event that I am otherwise occupied. I will give you my email address as well, so that you have that in case you would like to copy me when you file those documents, which I should receive anyway, but just in case. It is D as in David, ANIELA, M as in Mary, at pollockrosen.com. That's POLLACKROSEN.com.
.com. Thank you.
Ms. Muir, does he need an account number or any sort of reference number when he makes contact?
Yes, Your Honor, that was my next
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
point. No worries. Your account number, sir, is 322-1113.
322-1113.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Saunier, don't wait on that, right? It's in your best interest to make contact with them with those documents as soon as possible, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Madam Clerk, now that question to you is, do we have a new date for them, or do we need to schedule that and send it to them later?
I see that you have March 17th at 9 available.
So, but you're just looking at my calendar, what you've got there. What we're going to do, Mr. Saunier, Miss Muir, is I'm not going to give you that date right now. I need to go back and talk with my assistant first to make sure I don't have any conflicts. And then we'll schedule a note. We'll schedule another trial, and I'll send you notice in the mail, just like we did last time. And so you'll have the Zoom login credentials. And again, importantly, the requirement to file everything at least 10 days prior to that date. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Miss Muir, anything else from you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what my question was?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
Nothing else. Okay. Mr. Saunier, anything else from you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you all are free to sign off. That completes our hearing today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Okay, Madam Clerk. So